I do. 2 words. That's all it took to ruin my life. Or save it. I still don't know which. The man who claimed me in front of 300 people wasn't my fiancé. Wasn't even someone I'd spoken to. Roman Volkov just walked across that ballroom floor like he owned it, because he did, and told the world I belonged to him. A beautiful, brutal lie. Now I'm trapped in a contract with the city's most dangerous man, and the only rule? Don't fall in love. Too bad we're both terrible at following rules. If you want to see how deep this goes, stay until the end. Drop a like and comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The chandelier overhead cost more than my mother's medical bills. Probably more than our entire apartment building. I knew this because I'd been staring at it for the past 20 minutes, counting crystals instead of facing the fact that I was drowning at the most exclusive wedding of the year. Arya, stop fidgeting. My roommate Melissa grabbed my wrist before I could tug at my dress again. You look fine. Fine was generous. The dress was borrowed, the shoes pinched, and my hair had started rebelling against the pins 10 minutes after we arrived. I looked exactly like what I was. A waitress from the east side who'd been dragged to a society wedding as someone's last-minute +1. Melissa's boyfriend worked security for events like this. That's how we got in. That's why I was currently pressed against a marble column, trying to become invisible while crystal clinked and champagne flowed, and people who'd never worried about a bill in their lives celebrated a union that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with merging two pharmaceutical empires. I need air. I pushed away from the column. Arya. But I was already moving, weaving through clusters of designer gowns and tailored tuxedos. The ballroom was massive, all gold and cream and suffocating elegance. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, and I made for them like they were a lifeline. I almost made it. Excuse me. A woman's voice, sharp as cut glass. You're blocking the photograph. I turned. 3 women stood behind me, all blonde, all beautiful, all looking at me like I was a stain on expensive fabric. Behind them, a photographer waited with visible impatience. Sorry. I stepped aside quickly, too quickly. My heel caught on the hem of my dress, and I stumbled directly into a passing waiter. The tray went flying, champagne glasses shattered across marble. The crash echoed through the ballroom like a gunshot. Conversation died. Heads turned. My face burned hot enough to combust. Oh my God! One of the blonde women pressed a hand to her chest, her diamonds catching the light. Did you just... I'm so sorry. I dropped to my knees, reaching for the broken glass with shaking hands. I'll clean this up. Don't touch that. The waiter's voice was tight with barely controlled anger. Do you have any idea how much... She clearly doesn't. Another voice joined in, male this time, amused in a cruel way. Look at her dress. I don't think she knows how much anything here costs. Laughter rippled through the nearby crowd. Not loud. Not kind. The type of laughter that slices clean through skin. I kept my eyes on the floor, on the shattered crystal and spilled champagne, on the reflection of the chandelier fractured into 1,000 glittering pieces. Like my dignity. Someone should call security. The first blonde woman again. She's obviously not supposed to be here. My hand stilled. I'm here with a guest, I said quietly. I have every right. A guest. The word dripped with skepticism. Whose guest? I looked up then, met her eyes, saw the dismissal there, the certainty that I didn't belong, that I was less than. She wasn't wrong, but that didn't make it hurt less. You know what? I pushed to my feet, glass crunching under my shoes. You're right. I don't belong here. Among people who measure worth in champagne glasses and judge strangers for existing in their space. Congratulations. You win. I turned to leave and walked directly into a wall of solid muscle. Hands caught my shoulders, steadying me. I looked up and up. The man in front of me was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than my yearly rent. Dark hair pushed back from a face that could have been carved from stone, all sharp angles and controlled violence. But it was his eyes that stopped me cold. Gray, storm cloud gray. Fixed on me with an intensity that felt like being seen and dissected simultaneously. Careful. His voice was low, quiet. Russian accent threading through each word like smoke. Sorry. I tried to step back, but his hands remained on my shoulders. gentle, firm, immovable. You're bleeding. I blinked, looked down. Blood welled from a cut on my palm where I'd grabbed the broken glass. I hadn't even felt it. It's fine. I pulled my hand against my dress, hiding the evidence. Excuse me? Roman. A woman appeared beside him, all elegant curves and predatory smile. There you are, we need to… Her eyes landed on me, narrowed. Oh, is there a problem? No problem. I tried to move past them both. The man, Roman, released my shoulders. I thought that was it. Thought I'd make it to the exit with the last shredded remains of my dignity. Then he spoke again. What's your name? I stopped, turned. Why? Because I'm asking. Something in his tone suggested he wasn't used to repeating himself or to people questioning him. The woman beside him looked equally surprised that he was still talking to me. Arya, I said finally. Arya Bennett. He studied me for another long moment, then nodded once. Miss Bennett, enjoy the wedding. It sounded like a dismissal. It felt like something else entirely. I walked away before I could figure out what. Oh, Melissa found me as the bathroom 10 minutes later, frantically washing blood off my hand and trying to salvage my mascara. Jesus Christ, Arya. She handed me paper towels. Half the ballroom saw that. I know. Those women were Crestwood wives. You basically told them off in front of everyone. I know. Jason's boss is pissed, says I need to get you under control, or we're both leaving. That made me look up. Mel, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to… Relax. I told him to go fuck himself. She leaned against the sink, examining her nails. We're leaving anyway. This whole thing is a nightmare. Rich people celebrating rich people getting richer. I'm over it. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Although, she glanced at me sideways. You did get Roman Volkov's attention. That's either incredibly lucky or incredibly stupid. I haven't decided which. Who? The guy you literally bounced off of? Arya, come on. Roman Volkov, real estate, shipping, probably half the illegal activity in this city, if rumors are true. She lowered her voice. He's dangerous. Like genuinely dangerous. People cross him and disappear. I thought about those gray eyes, that quiet voice, the way he'd held my shoulders like I might shatter. He seemed controlled. Yeah, that's what makes him scary. Melissa pushed off the sink. Come on, let's get out of here before… The bathroom door opened. A woman entered. Not one of the blonde trio from earlier. This woman was older, 50s maybe, wearing a burgundy gown that screamed old money. She looked at me like I was a particularly interesting specimen under glass. Arya Bennett. I slid down my spine. Yes? Mr. Volkov would like to speak with you. Melissa's hand found mine, squeezed hard. She's leaving, actually. We both are. It wasn't a request. The woman's smile didn't reach her eyes. He's waiting in the rose garden. This way, please. She held the door open, expectant, patient, absolutely certain I would follow. Arya. Melissa's voice was urgent, low. Don't. But I was already moving, already following, because some part of me, the stupid, self-destructive part, wanted to know what a man like Roman Volkov could possibly want with someone like me. The rose garden wasn't a garden at all. It was a private terrace overlooking the city, lit by soft golden lights and lined with white roses that probably bloomed year-round through some expensive miracle of horticulture. Roman stood at the railing, back to me, shoulders relaxed in a way that suggested he owned this space, this building, this entire city block. Maybe he did. The woman who'd brought me cleared her throat quietly. Miss Bennett, sir. He turned, that same intensity from before, but sharper now, more focused, like he'd been thinking about something and had come to a decision. Leave us. He didn't look at the woman when he said it. She disappeared without a word. We were alone. You wanted to see me? My voice came out steadier than expected. Yes. He gestured to the chairs arranged near a small table. Sit. I'd rather stand. His mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. You don't trust me. I don't know you. Fair. He moved to the table, poured amber liquid from a crystal decanter into 2 glasses. Your friend was right to warn you. I am dangerous. Then why am I here? Because I have a proposition. He held out one of the glasses. I didn't take it. What kind of proposition? The kind that benefits us both. He set the glass down, picked up his own, studied me over the rim. You're in debt, medical bills, your mother's treatment. The hospital is threatening to discharge her unless you can pay. Every muscle in my body locked. How do you know that? I know many things, Miss Bennett. He took a sip. You work double shifts at a diner. You've taken out loans you can't repay. You're drowning, and tonight you came to this wedding hoping for a miracle you knew wouldn't come. Are you following me? Anger replaced shock, hot and bright. Because I'm offering you a solution. I don't want your money. I'm not offering money. He set the glass down, stepped closer. I'm offering marriage. The world tilted. Excuse me? A marriage contract. 1 year. You play my wife in public, attend events, fulfill social obligations. In return, I cover your mother's medical expenses. All of them. Plus a substantial payment upon completion. I stared at him. You're insane. I'm practical. Another step closer. I need a wife. Not a real one. A contractual one. Someone without connections to my world. Someone who won't ask questions or make demands beyond what's agreed upon. Why me? Because you're desperate enough to consider it, and smart enough to know it's your only real option. The truth of that hit harder than any insult could have. There must be 100 women who'd jump at this, I said. Women who actually belong in your world. Those women want something I won't give them. Power, status, access to my life. His eyes locked on mine. You just want your mother to live. That's simpler. Simpler. Like my mother's life was a business transaction, like I was. No. I turned toward the door. Find someone else. Arya? I stopped. Hated that I stopped. Your mother has maybe 3 months without treatment. Less if the cancer spreads. You know this. Stop. You work yourself to exhaustion every day and still fall further behind. The debt will follow you your entire life. You'll never escape it. He moved to stand between me and the door, not blocking, just present. Unless you take this deal. Why? The word broke. Why are you doing this? Because I can. Simple, honest, brutal. And because something tells me you're the kind of person who honors agreements. I need that. More than I need love or compatibility or any of the things people usually look for in a spouse. This is crazy. Yes. You don't even know me. I know enough. He pulled something from his jacket pocket. A card. Held it out. Think about it. You have 48 hours. I took the card. Expensive stock. His name embossed in black. A phone number below. What if I say no? Then you say no. Your life continues as it is. He stepped aside, giving me clear path to the door, but we both know how that ends. I wanted to hit him, wanted to scream, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that I'd find another way, that I didn't need his twisted offer. But my mother's face flashed through my mind, pale, tired, trying to smile when I visited even though I could see the pain eating through her. I put the card in my purse. Roman nodded once. 48 hours, Miss Bennett. I left without another word. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and slow death. Mom was sleeping when I arrived, her breathing shallow and uneven. The machines around her bed beeped steadily, tracking a life that was slipping away day by day despite everything the doctors tried. I sat in the chair I'd worn smooth over months of visits, held her hand, felt how thin her fingers had become. Hey, baby. Her eyes opened slowly. You didn't have to come tonight. I wanted to. I squeezed her hand gently. How are you feeling? Like $1,000,000. Her smile was weak but real. How was the wedding? Disaster. I knocked over a waiter, broke about 50 champagne glasses, made a complete fool of myself. She laughed. It turned into a cough that shook her whole body. I reached for the water cup, helped her drink. Sounds exciting, she managed finally. Mortifying is more like it. Well, she settled back against the pillows. At least you got out for a night. Did something different, That's important, Arya. You spend too much time taking care of me. Mom, I'm serious. Her fingers tightened around mine with surprising strength. You're 26 years old. You should be living your life, not watching mine end. Don't say that. It's true, honey. We both know it. Her eyes were too bright, too knowing. The treatments aren't working anymore. Dr. Morrison told me yesterday. Said we're looking at maybe 12 weeks, if I'm lucky. The words landed like physical blows. There are other options, I said desperately. Other treatments, clinical trials, something that costs money we don't have. She cupped my face with her free hand. Baby, I need you to listen to me. I need you to let go. I can't. You have to. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You have to live, Arya. Promise me. When I'm gone, you'll actually live. Not just survive. Live. I couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. Promise me, she whispered. I promise. Lies. Both of us lying to make the other feel better. I stayed until she fell asleep again. Then I went home to our tiny apartment and pulled Roman Volkov's card from my purse. Stared at it for 3 hours. Tried to convince myself there was another way. Failed. At 2 a.m, I picked up my phone and dialed. He answered on the first ring. Miss Bennett? I have conditions. I'm listening. My mother never knows. As far as she's concerned, we met normally. Fell in love. The whole fairy tale. Agreed. I want everything in writing. Every detail. Every payment. Every obligation. My lawyers will have a contract ready by tomorrow. And when the year is over, we're done. Completely. No contact. No ties. Nothing. A pause. Then, understood. Okay? I closed my eyes. Okay, I'll do it. Good. Something shifted in his tone. Relief, maybe. There's one more thing. What? There's a charity gala tomorrow night. High profile. We'll make the announcement there. Announcement? That we're engaged. Matter of fact. Like he was discussing dinner plans. The wedding itself will happen within 2 weeks. Small, private, just enough to make it legal. 2 weeks? My stomach dropped. That's non-negotiable. The sooner we're married, the sooner I can handle certain complications. Business complications. What kind of complications? The kind you don't need to worry about. His voice went hard. That's my world, Arya, not yours. You just need to play the part. Can you do that? I thought about my mother, the machines, the 12 weeks Dr. Morrison had given her. Yes, I whispered. I can do that. Then I'll send a car for you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Dress will be provided. I don't need you to... Yes, you do. The people at this gala will notice everything, every detail, every imperfection. Let me handle it. He was right. I hated that he was right. Fine. Good. Get some sleep, Miss Bennett. Tomorrow, your life changes. He hung up. I sat in the dark, phone still pressed to my ear, and wondered what the hell I'd just agreed to. The car that arrived the next evening was black, expensive, and driven by a silent man who held the door open like I was someone important instead of someone pretending. Inside the car, I found a garment bag and a small box. The dress was deep emerald silk, simple but stunning. It fit perfectly, which should have been impossible. The box contained jewelry, diamonds that caught the light, and made me nervous just looking at them. A note sat beneath the necklace. Bold handwriting, 2 words. Trust me. I put on the diamonds. The gala was somehow even more intimidating than the wedding had been. Bigger venue, more people, cameras everywhere, flashing constantly as guests arrived. Roman waited at the entrance. He'd been devastating in a tux before. Now, in a midnight blue suit that matched his eyes, he was something else entirely. Dangerous and beautiful and utterly in control. His gaze traveled over me slowly. Perfect. The dress or me? Both. He offered his arm. Ready? No. Good. Neither am I. A ghost of a smile. Let's go anyway. We walked in together. Cameras exploded. Questions shouted from all directions. Roman ignored them all, his hand warm against the small of my back as he guided me through the chaos. Inside was organized chaos. Champagne, classical music, people in clothes worth more than my life. Roman navigated it like he'd built this world himself. Maybe he had. Mr. Volkov. A man approached, silver-haired and sharp-eyed. Good to see you. And who is this? Senator Matthews. Roman's hand tightened on my waist. May I introduce Arya Bennett, my fiancée? The senator's eyebrows climbed. Fiancé? I hadn't heard you were seeing anyone. I prefer to keep my personal life private. Clearly. The senator turned to me, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Miss Bennett, what a surprise. How did you meet? I opened my mouth, closed it, realized I had no idea what to say. Roman saved me. Arya works in healthcare. We met through mutual connections. It was immediate. Healthcare. The senator looked me over again, reassessing. How refreshing. Most people in our circles only marry other money. Arya isn't most people. Roman's tone could have cut glass. The senator chuckled uncomfortably. Well, congratulations to you both. He escaped quickly. 3 more people approached, then 5, then 10. Each asking the same questions, wearing the same false smiles, judging with the same cold eyes. Roman handled them all, his answers smooth and practiced. I stood beside him, smiled when appropriate, and tried not to feel like a fraud. You're doing well, he murmured during a rare quiet moment. I'm barely keeping it together. That's what doing well looks like. He turned to face me fully. Listen carefully. In about 2 minutes, Victor Constantine will approach us. He's dangerous, old Russian mob. He and I have history. What kind of history? The kind where he'd love nothing more than to see me fail. His jaw tightened. He'll try to rattle you, say things to get a reaction. Don't give him one. What kind of things? Anything that might suggest this engagement isn't real. His eyes locked on mine. So when he comes over here, you're going to look at me like you're madly in love, like I'm the only person in this room. Can you do that? My heart was suddenly beating too fast. Yes. Good. He glanced over my shoulder. Here he comes. A man materialized beside us, 60-something, built like a boxer, smiling like a shark. Roman, what a surprise to see you here. Heavy Russian accent, cold amusement in his eyes. And with such beautiful company. Who is this flower? Victor. Roman's voice went flat. This is Arya Bennett, my fiancée. Fiancée? Victor's laugh was sharp and ugly. You? Engaged? Forgive me, but I must ask, how much is he paying you, dear girl? The room seemed to quiet. Or maybe that was just my blood rushing in my ears. Excuse me, I said. Come now, Roman Volkov doesn't do love, he does business. So I wonder what business arrangement brings a nobody like you to his side. Victor leaned closer. Tell me, what does he have on you? Debt? Family trouble? Or are you simply that desperate for money? Every word was designed to cut, to humiliate, to prove I didn't belong. I should have stayed quiet, should have let Roman handle it. Instead, I stepped forward. You know what's desperate, Mr. Constantine? A man so threatened by someone else's happiness that he has to tear it down in public. I smiled sweetly. Roman told me about you, said you were bitter, angry, still angry about whatever deal went wrong between you. He didn't mention you were also incredibly rude. Victor's face went dark. But here's the thing. I moved even closer, close enough to see the veins throbbing in his neck. I'm not here because of debt, not here because of threats. I'm here because I choose to be, because Roman is worth 10 of you, and if you ever speak to me, or about me, like that again, you'll learn exactly how much damage a nobody can do. Silence. Complete, utter silence. Victor stared at me. Roman stared at me. Half the ballroom stared at me. Then Victor laughed, loud and genuine. Well, he turned to Roman. She has teeth. I did not expect that. His smile turned sharp again. Good luck, Roman. You will need it. He walked away. I waited until he was gone before I let myself breathe. I'm sorry, I said quickly. I know you said not to react, but he... Roman's hand found mine. Squeezed. That, he said quietly, was perfect. What? Victor respects strength. You just showed him you have it. His thumb brushed over my knuckles. No one talks to him like that. especially not in public. You surprised him, surprised me, too. I thought I messed up. No. His eyes held something I couldn't identify. You did exactly what I needed you to do. Before I could process that, someone else approached, then another, and another. Each one curious about the woman who'd faced down Victor Constantine. Each one suddenly interested in Roman Volkov's mysterious fiancée. I played the part, smiled, answered questions, held Roman's hand and pretended this was real. And somewhere in the middle of it all, surrounded by lies and performance, something shifted. The way Roman looked at me started feeling less like acting. The way his hand fit against mine stopped feeling foreign. And when he finally pulled me onto the dance floors, a slow song started when his arm wrapped around my waist and his other hand caught mine and we moved together in front of everyone. It felt dangerous. You surprised me tonight, he said quietly, his mouth near my ear. Is that good or bad? I haven't decided yet. His hand pressed against my back, pulling me infinitesimally closer. You were supposed to be simple, Arya. Easy to understand, easy to predict. Sorry to disappoint. I didn't say I was disappointed. His thumb traced small circles against my spine, barely perceptible through the silk but burning like a brand. Just surprised. The song swelled around us. Other couples moved across the floor, but I barely saw them. There was only Roman, his eyes, his hands, the controlled strength in the way he held me. This is all fake, I whispered, reminding him, reminding myself. Yes. We're just playing parts. Yes. So why does it feel... Don't. His hand tightened. Don't finish that sentence. Why not? Because then we'd have to acknowledge it, and that would complicate things. Things are already complicated. They can get worse. Trust me. He spun me gently, and when I came back to him, his expression had shuddered. Business Roman was back. The contract signing is tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office. Bring questions if you have them. I have about 1,000. Good. We'll address them all. The song ended. He stepped back, dropping my hands like they'd burned him. I'll have my driver take you home. Roman. Good night, Arya. He walked away. I stood alone on the dance floor, surrounded by strangers, wearing borrowed diamonds and wondering what the hell I was feeling. This was fake. A business arrangement. Nothing more. So why did my hand shake as I watched him disappear into the crowd? Why did my chest ache like I'd lost something I'd never actually had? I left the gala alone, rode home in silence, and lay awake until dawn trying to convince myself I was doing the right thing. For my mother. For her treatment. For her life. Not because some part of me, some stupid reckless part, wanted to know what it would feel like if Roman Volkov looked at me like that when the cameras weren't watching. Tomorrow, I'd sign the contract. Tomorrow, I'd become his wife in name only. Tomorrow, everything would change. I just had to remember the rules. No feelings, no complications. 1 year. Then freedom. Simple. Except nothing about Roman Volkov was simple, and I was starting to suspect nothing about this arrangement would be either. The contract was 73 pages long. Arya sat in Roman's office at 9:45 in the morning, exhausted from lack of sleep, and stared at the document that would define the next year of her life. Every clause was there in black and white. Every obligation, every boundary, every consequence. Section 12 covers public appearances, the lawyer said. Mid-40s, expensive suit, the kind of professionally blank expression that came from years of witnessing things he'd never discuss. You're required to attend a minimum of 2 events per month as Mr. Volkov's wife, more during campaign season. Campaign season? Arya looked up. I have political connections, Roman said from behind his desk. He'd been sitting there since she arrived, watching her read, saying nothing. They require maintenance. You didn't mention politics. You didn't ask. The lawyer cleared his throat. Section 15 outlines living arrangements. You'll move into Mr. Volkov's penthouse within 48 hours of the wedding. Separate bedrooms. Shared common spaces. A household staff will be provided. Arya's stomach twisted. She'd known this was coming, but seeing it written out made it real in a way that terrified her. What about my apartment? Keep it if you want, Roman said. I'll cover the rent. I don't need you to. Consider it part of the arrangement. His tone left no room for argument. You'll need somewhere to go when this is over. When this is over. 1 year from now. When her mother would hopefully still be alive, healthy, and Arya would walk away from this with enough money to start over, if she survived it. Section 18, the lawyer continued, flipping pages. Physical intimacy. Heat crawled up Arya's neck. The marriage will not be consummated, the lawyer read in the same flat tone he'd used for everything else. Both parties agree to maintain separate sleeping arrangements and refrain from any romantic or sexual contact beyond what is necessary for public appearances. What counts as necessary? The words came out before Arya could stop them. Roman's eyes met hers across the desk. Hand-holding, dancing, the occasional kiss for cameras, nothing more. And if one of us breaks that rule, then the contract terminates immediately. His expression didn't change. Along with all financial agreements. Right. Because this was business. Just business. Section 21 addresses the termination clause, the lawyer said. If either party develops romantic feelings for the other, they are required to disclose this immediately. Upon disclosure, the contract ends within 30 days. Miss Bennett receives a reduced settlement. Mr. Volkov retains all assets. How reduced? Arya asked. 20% of the agreed amount. Her mother's treatment costs more than 20%, a lot more. So if I fall in love with you, she said slowly, I lose everything. Yes. Roman's voice was flat, empty. That's the point. To punish feelings? To prevent complications. He stood, walked to the window overlooking the city. Love makes people irrational, possessive, demanding. I don't have room for that in my life. Neither do you, if you're smart. And if you fall in love with me? He turned and something flickered across his face, too fast to read. I won't. You sound very certain. I am. He crossed back to the desk, planted his hands on the surface, leaned forward. I don't do love, Arya. I do control. Strategy. Calculated risk. This arrangement works because it's honest. We both know exactly what it is. The moment that changes, it's over. She should have felt relieved. Instead, something sharp twisted in her chest. Fine, she said. What else? The lawyer walked her through another 40 minutes of clauses. Confidentiality agreements. Social media restrictions. Protocols for dealing with press. Every possible scenario mapped out in legal language that made her head spin. Finally, he pushed the signature page across the table. If you're ready, Miss Bennett. Arya stared at the blank line waiting for her name. This was it. The point of no return. Once she signed, she became Roman Volkov's wife. His property in the eyes of the law. His responsibility, his lie. She thought about her mother's face yesterday. The way she'd smiled when Arya told her about the engagement. The fairy tale version where Roman was a businessman she'd met through friends and fallen for instantly. The way her mom had cried happy tears and said she was so glad Arya wouldn't be alone. Arya picked up the pen, signed her name. Roman signed below hers without hesitation. The lawyer witnessed, collected the pages, stood. Congratulations, he said, like he was announcing a funeral. The wedding is scheduled for Saturday, 2 p.m. I'll send details. Then he was gone, and Arya was alone with her new fiancé in an office that suddenly felt too small. Your mother's first treatment is scheduled for Monday, Roman said quietly. I've arranged for her to be transferred to St. Catherine's. Private room. Best oncologist in the state. Arya's throat closed. Thank you. Don't thank me, it's part of the contract. He moved to a cabinet, pulled out a small box, set it on the desk between them. You'll need this. She opened it. A ring sat nestled in black velvet. Not the massive diamond she'd expected. Instead, a simple platinum band with a single emerald surrounded by smaller diamonds. Understated, beautiful. Exactly the kind of thing she would have chosen for herself if she'd ever had the chance. How did you... I pay attention. He took the ring from the box, reached for her hand. She pulled back. I can do it. Let me. Not a command, almost a request. She extended her hand. His fingers were warm as they wrapped around hers. Steady, careful. He slid the ring onto her finger slowly, and it fit perfectly, and she hated how right it felt sitting there. There. He released her hand, stepped back. Now it's official. We're not married yet. Close enough. He checked his watch. I have a meeting in 20 minutes. My driver will take you home. Pack what you need. You're moving in Thursday. Thursday? The wedding's not until Saturday. Appearances matter. If we're engaged, you should already be living with me. He was back to business Roman, cold and efficient. The staff will help you settle in. If you need anything, tell Margaret. She runs the household. Who's Margaret? You'll meet her Thursday. He walked to the door, opened it, waited, dismissed. Arya stood, smoothed her skirt, and tried not to feel like she'd just sold her soul. Arya? She paused in the doorway. Saturday will be difficult, Roman said. Smile, say the words, get through it. That's all you have to do. And after? After, we play our parts. You'll get used to it. She wanted to believe him, wanted to think this would get easier, that the knot in her stomach would loosen, that she'd stop feeling like she was standing on the edge of something that would swallow her whole. Instead, she just nodded and left. Thursday came too fast. Melissa helped her pack, asking questions Arya couldn't answer and making jokes that didn't land. When the boxes were sealed and loaded into a truck that probably cost more than their entire building, Melissa hugged her hard. You don't have to do this, she whispered. We could figure something else out. There's nothing else. There's always something else. But there wasn't. They both knew it. Roman's penthouse occupied the entire top floor of a building in the financial district. Floor-to-ceiling windows, marble floors, art that probably belonged in museums. The kind of space that made Arya feel small just standing in it. Margaret turned out to be a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and the efficient kindness of someone who'd spent decades managing other people's lives. Your room is this way, Miss Bennett. She led Arya down a hallway lined with abstract paintings. Mr. Volkov thought you'd prefer the east side, morning light, view of the river. The room was twice the size of Arya's entire apartment. King bed, sitting area, bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people. Walk-in closet already filled with clothes she hadn't bought. He had a stylist send options, Margaret said, noticing Arya's expression. You're not obligated to wear them, but they're there if you need them. Where's his room? West Wing. You'll have complete privacy. Margaret moved to the windows, adjusted the curtains. Mr. Volkov works late most nights, often doesn't come home until after midnight. You likely won't see much of him outside of scheduled appearances. Good. That was good. Easier to maintain distance if they barely crossed paths. So why did it feel lonely? Dinner is at 7 if you'd like to join the staff, Margaret continued, or I can bring a tray to your room, whatever you prefer. The staff eats together? When Mr. Volkov isn't home, yes, we're a small team, friendly, a slight smile. You're welcome at the table, Miss Bennett. You're not a guest here. You're family. Family. The word hit wrong. This wasn't family. This was a performance with room and board included. But Margaret's kindness was real, and Arya was so tired of being alone. I'll join you, she said. Thank you. Margaret nodded and left. Arya unpacked slowly, putting her things in drawers that dwarfed them, hanging her old dresses next to designer gowns she'd never choose. When everything was put away, she stood in the middle of the room and felt the weight of it all crash down. This was her life now. This pristine cage, this beautiful lie. She pulled out her phone, called the hospital. She's sleeping, the nurse said, but the transfer went smoothly. Dr. Patel already examined her. He's optimistic about the new treatment protocol. Relief made Arya's knees weak. Can I visit tomorrow? Of course. She's in room 412. After dinner with the staff, which was surprisingly comfortable despite Arya's nerves, she retreated to her room and tried to sleep in a bed that felt like floating on clouds and made her miss her lumpy mattress with an intensity that hurt. She woke at 3 a.m. to voices in the hallway. Roman's voice, low, angry. Another voice responding, male, accented, also angry. Arya crept to the door, pressed her ear against it. Telling you it's handled, Roman was saying. Nothing is handled. Constantine knows he's already making moves. Let him. He'll overextend himself like he always does. And if he doesn't? If he actually has proof this time? Silence. Then, he has nothing. It's all speculation. Speculation that could destroy you. The other man's voice turned sharp. You should have told me you were getting married. I could have found someone more suitable. Someone from our world. I don't want someone from our world. I want someone I can control. The word shouldn't have stung. This was the arrangement. Control. Business. Arya stepped back from the door anyway. She's not one of us, Roman. She doesn't understand the rules, the dangers. She doesn't need to understand. She just needs to smile and play her part. And when she stops being useful, then the contract ends and she goes back to her life. Simple. Simple. Right. Arya climbed back into bed, pulled the covers up, and stared at the ceiling until dawn. Saturday arrived wrapped in gray clouds that threatened rain. The wedding was held in a private room at the courthouse. No guests beyond the required witnesses. No flowers. No music. Just a judge who looked bored and read from a script while Arya stood next to Roman and tried to remember how to breathe. Do you, Roman Volkov, take Arya Bennett to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do? Flat, emotionless. And do you, Arya Bennett, take Roman Volkov to be your lawfully wedded husband? She looked at Roman. He looked back. Nothing in his eyes, nothing in his expression. Just cold control. This was business. That's all it was. I do, she whispered. Then by the power vested in me by the state, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Roman's hand came up to cup her face, gentle, almost tender. Then he kissed her. It was supposed to be quick, perfunctory, for the witnesses and the paperwork. Instead, it was soft, careful. His mouth moved against hers like he was testing something, learning something, and Arya's hands came up to grip his jacket without conscious thought, because the floor had disappeared and he was the only solid thing left. He pulled back first. His thumb brushed her cheek once before he dropped his hand and stepped away. Done, he said to the judge. They signed papers. The witnesses signed. Margaret hugged Arya and whispered congratulations that sounded genuine. The judge stamped everything official and left. And just like that, Arya Bennett became Arya Volkov. The name felt foreign, wrong, like wearing someone else's skin. There's a reception tonight, Roman said as they walked to the car. Small, just business associates. We'll make an appearance, 2 hours, then you're free. Free to what? Go back to the penthouse and hide in my room? He stopped, turned. You can do whatever you want, Arya. That's the point of this arrangement. Your life is yours. Except it's not. It's yours. I'm yours. That's what the contract says. The contract says you're my wife. It doesn't say you're my prisoner. What's the difference? His jaw tightened. Don't do that. Do what? Make this harder than it needs to be. He opened the car door. Get in. We have an appearance to make. The reception was held at some club Arya had never heard of, full of people who looked at her like she was a curiosity in a museum. Roman's hand stayed on her back the entire time, proprietary and possessive, and she smiled until her face hurt. Mrs. Volkov, a woman approached, blonde and beautiful and dangerous. How lovely to finally meet you. I'm Natasha Orlova. Something in Roman's posture changed, tensed. Natasha, his voice was careful. I didn't know you'd be here. Victor invited me. You know how he is. Her smile was all teeth. Always stirring the pot. She turned to Arya and her eyes were cold enough to burn. You're very brave, Natasha said. Marrying Roman. Most women know better. Most women don't get the chance, Arya replied evenly. Oh, many have had the chance, darling. They just chose to run. She leaned closer, her perfume overwhelming. Tell me, how long do you think you'll last? Natasha, Roman's voice went hard. Walk away. I'm just making conversation with your new bride. But she stepped back, her smile sharpening. Congratulations, Mrs. Volkov. I'm sure this will be very entertaining to watch. She disappeared into the crowd. Who was that? Arya asked. No one important. Romans, drop it. He steered her toward the bar. Do you want a drink? I want the truth. The truth is I need a whiskey and you need to stop asking questions. He caught the bartender's attention. 2 whiskeys. Neat. The drinks came. Arya took hers, downed half of it in one burning swallow. Roman's eyebrows rose. Careful. You said 2 hours. How much longer? He checked his watch. 90 minutes. I don't think I can do this for 90 more minutes. Yes, you can. He took her glass, set it down, pulled her onto the dance floor. Smile, we're newlyweds. We're supposed to look happy. I don't feel happy. Then fake it, that's what I'm doing. His arms went around her. They moved to music Arya barely heard. Around them, people watched, whispered, judged. Why did you really marry me? The question escaped before she could stop it. The truth, not the contract version. Roman was quiet for a long moment. Then, because I needed someone who wouldn't fall in love with me. Why? Because everyone who falls in love with me ends up destroyed. His hand tightened on her waist. I'm not a good man, Arya. I've done things that would make you run if you knew. Hurt people, ruined them. Love doesn't survive that. It just becomes another weapon for my enemies to use. So you married someone you think is immune? I married someone who understands this is temporary, who won't mistake proximity for intimacy. He met her eyes. You want to save your mother. I respect that. It's clean, honest, no hidden agendas. And what do you get out of it? Stability, the appearance of being settled. It helps with certain business dealings. He spun her gently. And it keeps women like Natasha from thinking they have a chance. She's in love with you. She's in love with the idea of me. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. He pulled her closer, and his voice dropped. One is fixable. The other destroys everything it touches. The song ended. Someone called Roman's name. He released her immediately, his expression shuddering back to neutral. Excuse me, he said. I need to handle something. Margaret will take you home when you're ready. Then he was gone, and Arya stood alone on the dance floor again, wondering how she kept ending up in this position. She found Margaret near the exit and asked to leave. The penthouse was dark and empty when she arrived. Arya changed into pajamas, washed off makeup that felt like a mask, and sat on the edge of her enormous bed feeling small. Her phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Your mother is asking for you. Can you visit tomorrow? She typed back immediately. I'll be there first thing. Sunday morning, Arya took a car to St. Catherine's. The building was sleek and modern, nothing like the county hospital where her mother had been before. Everything gleamed, everyone smiled. It felt like a different world. Her mother's room was on the 4th floor, overlooking a garden. Private, peaceful. The machines were the same, but everything else was better. Arya! Her mom's face lit up when she entered. Look at you, my married daughter. Arya's throat tightened. Hey, Mom, come here. Let me see the ring. She held out her hand. Her mother took it, examined the emerald, and her eyes got misty. It's beautiful. He has good taste. Yeah, he does. Tell me everything. The ceremony, the dress. Was it romantic? Arya sat on the edge of the bed and lied. Made up details about flowers that hadn't existed and vows that hadn't been real and a kiss that had felt too real but meant nothing. Her mother listened, held her hand, and looked happier than she had in months. I'm so glad you found him, she said softly. I was worried about you being alone after I'm gone. But now, Mom, don't. Let me finish. She squeezed Arya's hand. Now I know you'll be okay. He'll take care of you. I can see it in the way he looks at you. You've never met him. I saw the photos from the gala, the way he watches you, like you're the only person in the room. She smiled. That's how your father used to look at me. Guilt crashed through Arya like a wave. Her mother was dying and Arya was feeding her fairy tales, building hope on foundations of lies. But what else could she do? Tell the truth? Break her mother's heart in her final months? I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. Her eyes were already closing, the medication pulling her under. Bring him next time. I want to meet the man who makes my daughter light up. Arya stayed until her mother fell asleep. Then she left, drove back to the penthouse, and found Roman in the kitchen making coffee at 2 in the afternoon. He was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair still wet from a shower, and he looked so normal it threw her. You're back, he said without turning around. My mother wants to meet you. His hand paused on the coffee pot. When? I don't know. Soon. Is that a problem? No. He poured coffee into 2 mugs, slid one across the counter to her. I'll make time. She thinks this is real. I know. That's why I'll be convincing. He met her eyes. I'm good at pretending, Arya. It's practically my profession. Right. She wrapped her hands around the mug. Of course. They stood in silence for a moment. The kitchen was huge, but somehow Roman made it feel small just by existing in it. There's an event next Friday, he said finally. Business dinner, spouses expected. Can you make it? Do I have a choice? No, but I'm asking anyway. Why? Because it's polite. He took a sip of coffee. Wear something formal. I'll have options sent to your room. Stop buying me things. It's part of the arrangement. I don't need you to dress me like a doll. You need to look like you belong at my side. That requires investment. He set his mug down. Unless you'd prefer to show up in your old clothes and let everyone know exactly what this is? The words were sharp, designed to cut. They worked. Fine, Arya said tightly. Send the dresses. She turned to leave. Arya? She stopped but didn't turn around. Your mother will love me, he said quietly. I'll make sure of it. You won't have to worry about that. Why do you care? Because it matters to you, and things that matter to you affect this arrangement. A pause. That's all. Right. Because everything came back to the contract, the arrangement, the carefully constructed lie they were both living. Arya went to her room and didn't come out for the rest of the day. The week passed in a strange rhythm. Roman left early, came back late. They passed each other in hallways, exchanged polite greetings, maintained perfect distance. Like roommates who barely knew each other. Except roommates didn't have to pretend to be in love in public. Friday's dinner was at some restaurant where the menu didn't list prices, and everyone spoke in careful euphemisms about business deals that probably weren't entirely legal. Arya wore a black dress that cost more than her old monthly salary and played her part, smiled at Roman's colleagues, laughed at their jokes, let Roman's hand rest on her knee under the table while he discussed shipping routes and import taxes. Your wife is lovely, Roman, one man said. Gray hair, expensive watch, predator's eyes. Where did you find her? I got lucky, Roman replied smoothly. Luck had nothing to do with it. The man's gaze traveled over Arya slowly. You always did have excellent taste. Roman's hand tightened on her knee. Warning. Thank you, Arya said. Roman tells me you're in shipping? Among other things, the man smiled. You'll have to come to our summer party. My wife loves meeting new people. Translation. His wife loves scrutinizing threats. They left an hour later. Roman was silent in the car, staring out the window at the city passing by. You did well tonight, he said finally. I smiled and kept my mouth shut. Not exactly difficult. You'd be surprised how many people can't manage it. The car pulled up to the building. They rode the elevator in silence, walked down the hallway to their separate rooms. Arya was almost to her door when Roman spoke. I'm visiting your mother tomorrow, 10 a.m. Do you want to come? She turned. You're going without me? You said she wanted to meet me. I'm meeting her. He loosened his tie. You can be there or not. Your choice. Why would you go without me? Because I keep my promises, even the ones you didn't ask me to make. Something shifted in Arya's chest, something dangerous. I'll come, she said. Fine. 10 a.m. He moved toward his room, paused. Get some sleep, Arya. You look exhausted. Thanks. That's exactly what every woman wants to hear. The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. Good night. He disappeared into his room. Arya stood in the hallway for a long moment before retreating to her own space. Tomorrow, Roman would meet her mother, would perform for a dying woman, would lie with the same ease he lied to everyone else, and Arya would watch and pretend it didn't hurt. Roman showed up at her door at 9:50 wearing jeans and a sweater that made him look almost human. Arya stared at him, trying to reconcile this version with the man in tailored suits who commanded rooms full of dangerous people. You're early, she said. I'm punctual. There's a difference. He glanced at her outfit, leggings and an oversized cardigan. You're not ready. I'm fine. You look like you're going to the gym. I look comfortable. My mother won't care what I'm wearing. His eyes narrowed slightly, but he didn't argue. Just stepped back and waited while she grabbed her bag. They didn't speak in the elevator, didn't speak in the car. The silence stretched between them like a living thing. And Arya watched the city pass by and tried not to think about how Roman had memorized her coffee order after seeing her drink it once. How he'd made sure her mother got the best room in the hospital without being asked. How he kept doing small things that made the lie feel less like a lie. She needed to stop noticing. Needed to remember this was temporary. She's going to ask you questions, Arya said as they pulled into the hospital parking lot. About how we met, how you proposed. She'll want details. I know. And you can't just give her the version we tell everyone else. She'll see through it. I won't. He killed the engine, turned to face her. I've been lying my entire life, Arya. I'm very good at it. The words should have been reassuring. Instead, they made her stomach twist. They found her mother awake and sitting up, looking better than she had in weeks. The new treatment was working. Color had returned to her cheeks. Her eyes were brighter. Arya! She smiled, then saw Roman behind her. Her whole face transformed. Oh, you must be Roman. Mrs. Bennett. He moved forward, took her hand gently. It's an honor to finally meet you. Arya talks about you constantly. The lie rolled off his tongue like truth. Please call me Diana. Her mother studied him with open curiosity. Arya's told me almost nothing about you. She's very secretive. That's my fault. I've been keeping her too busy. Roman settled into the chair beside the bed like he belonged there. How are you feeling? Better. Dr. Patel says the new treatment is showing promising results. Diana glanced at Arya. Thanks to you both. I don't know how to repay this. You don't have to repay anything, Arya said quickly. Just focus on getting better. Your daughter is stubborn, Roman said to Diana. She won't accept help, won't let anyone take care of her. She gets that from me, Diana smiled. I raised her to be independent, maybe too independent. There's no such thing as too independent. Roman's voice was soft, though it does make loving her more challenging. Arya's breath caught, the way he said it, like he meant it, like this was real. Her mother heard it too. Her eyes got misty. Tell me how you met, Diana said. The real story, not whatever polished version you've been giving reporters. Roman glanced at Arya. Something passed between them, a question, maybe, or a warning. Then he turned back to Diana and began to speak. I saw her at a wedding. She was standing by herself, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Most people at those events are performing, playing roles, but Arya just looked real. He paused. Then she knocked over a waiter, made this spectacular scene. Everyone was staring. She was mortified. Diana laughed. That sounds like my daughter. I thought she'd cry or run. Instead, she stood up and told off 3 women who were mocking her, didn't back down, didn't apologize. Roman's eyes found Arya's. I'd never seen anyone do that before. Most people in my world are so busy protecting their image that they forget how to be honest. But Arya didn't care. She was just herself. So you fell for her because she was rude to rich people? Diana was smiling. I fell for her because she was brave enough to be real in a room full of fakes. He said it simply, matter of fact, like he was reading a grocery list instead of rewriting their entire history. Arya's chest felt tight. And the proposal? Diana pressed. Arya wouldn't tell me anything about it? Because it was embarrassing, Arya interjected. It was perfect, Roman corrected. He reached over, took Arya's hand. His thumb brushed over her knuckles. We were in the penthouse, late. She was wearing pajamas and eating ice cream straight from the container. I'd had this elaborate plan, restaurant, music, the whole production. But then I looked at her sitting there, completely comfortable, completely herself, and I realized I didn't want elaborate. I just wanted her. What did you say? Diana was fully invested now. I said, marry me. Roman's voice was quiet. No speech, no fanfare, just those 2 words. And what did Arya say? She asked if I was serious. I said yes. She said, he looked at Arya. She said she'd think about it. Diana laughed. Of course she did. I had to ask 3 more times over the next week, Roman continued. She kept finding reasons to say no, said it was too fast, too crazy, that we barely knew each other. What changed her mind? Roman's grip on Arya's hand tightened almost imperceptibly. I told her I didn't need forever. I just needed now. That we could figure out the rest as we went. The silence that followed felt heavy. Diana reached out, covered their joined hands with her own. You're good for her, I can tell. She's good for me too, Roman said. Better than I deserve. And the terrible thing was, He sounded like he believed it. They stayed for another hour. Diana asked Roman about his work, his family, his plans for the future. He answered everything with the same careful honesty that felt like lies but sounded like truth. He was charming without being obsequious, attentive without being overbearing. Perfect. Too perfect. When Diana started looking tired, they said their goodbyes. Roman kissed her hand and promised to visit again soon. Diana made him swear to take care of Arya. He swore without hesitation. In the hallway, Arya pulled her hand free from his. "You're good at this," she said. "At what?" "Lying. Making people believe you." Roman stopped walking. "Is that what you think I was doing? Lying?" "Weren't you?" He studied her for a long moment. Some of it was true. "Which parts?" "Does it matter?" He started walking again. "She's happy. She thinks you're taken care of. That's what you wanted." It was what she wanted. So why did it feel wrong? They drove back in silence. Roman parked in the garage, but neither of them moved to get out. The car engine ticked as it cooled. Outside, the city hummed with weekend traffic. "Thank you," Arya said finally, "for doing that. You didn't have to be so kind." "Yeah." "She's dying, Arya. I'm not going to make her last months worse by being an asshole." He unbuckled his seatbelt. "Besides, she reminds me of someone." "Who?" "My mother." His voice went flat. "Before she died." Arya turned to look at him. This was the first time he'd mentioned family, the first crack in the armor. "I'm sorry," she said. "Don't be. It was a long time ago." He opened the door. "I have work to do. I'll be in my office if you need anything." Then he was gone, and Arya sat alone in the car, trying to figure out what had just happened. The following week passed in a blur of appearances. A charity auction where Arya bid on items she didn't want with Roman's money. A gallery opening where modern art that looked like accidents hung on walls while people pretended to understand it. A dinner party at someone's penthouse where the host served courses that were more architecture than food. At every event, Roman played the devoted husband, his hand at her back, his attention fixed on her even when others tried to pull him away. Small gestures that shouldn't have meant anything but somehow did. And Arya played her part too, smiled at his colleagues, laughed at their jokes. Let Roman pull her onto dance floors and hold her close while cameras flashed and gossip spread. It was all performance, all carefully constructed theater. So why did it feel real when Roman's thumb traced circles on her hip while they danced? Why did her pulse jump when he leaned close to whisper commentary about the other guests? Why did she start looking forward to these events she'd once dreaded? She was breaking the rules, not the contract rules, not yet, but the internal ones, the ones that kept her safe. It had been 3 weeks since the wedding when everything changed. They were at some networking event for Roman's business associates. Arya had stopped keeping track of which events were for what. They all blurred together. Same people, same conversations, same performance. She was standing near the bar, nursing a glass of wine and half listening to two wives discuss vacation homes, when she heard Roman's voice rise above the ambient noise. "I said no, Victor. The answer hasn't changed." Arya turned. Across the room, Roman stood facing Victor Constantine, the older Russian man from the gala. Two other men flanked Victor, both built like walls. "You're making a mistake," Victor said. His voice carried. People were starting to notice. "This deal benefits us both." "It benefits you. I'm not interested." "Not interested in expanding your empire? That doesn't sound like the Roman Volkov I know." "Then you don't know me as well as you think." Victor's smile turned ugly. "Perhaps I know you better than you'd like. After all, I know about the Kozlov situation, the missing shipment, the money that disappeared." Roman's expression didn't change, but something in his posture shifted, tensed. "Careful, Victor." "Or what?" "You'll do to me what you did to Kozlov?" Victor leaned closer. "Tell me, does your pretty little wife know what kind of man she married? Does she know about the bodies? The deals that happen in dark rooms? The blood on your hands?" The room had gone quiet. Everyone watching, waiting. Arya didn't think, just moved. She crossed the space between them, inserted herself directly between Roman and Victor, and smiled like nothing was wrong. "Mr. Constantine, how lovely to see you again." Her voice was bright, cheerful. "I've been meaning to thank you." Victor blinked. Throne. Thank me? For being so concerned about my husband's business dealings. It's sweet, really, like you care. She tilted her head. But Roman's business is exactly that, his business. And mine, I suppose, since we're married, but certainly not yours. Mrs. Volkov, you seem to think I'm naive, that I don't know who I married. Arya stepped closer, dropped her voice. I know exactly who Roman is. I knew before I married him, and I chose him anyway. So whatever game you're playing, whatever point you're trying to make, you're wasting your time. Victor's face darkened. You have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe not, but I know that men like you only attack when they're desperate, when they've lost control and need to drag others down to feel powerful again. She smiled again, sharper this time. How's that shipping contract working out? The one Roman refused? I heard the company you went with instead is already failing inspections. Must be frustrating. Behind her, Roman made a sound that might have been a laugh. Victor's hands clenched. You should be careful, little girl. This world eats people like you alive. Then I guess I'll have to learn to bite back. Arya took Roman's hand. Come on, honey. I think we've wasted enough time here. She pulled Roman toward the exit. He followed without resistance. They made it to the car before he spoke. What the hell was that? Me defending my husband. She yanked the door open. You're welcome, by the way. I didn't need defending. Really? Because it looked like Victor was about 2 seconds from making a scene that would have ended up in every newspaper in the city. Roman climbed into the driver's side, gripped the steering wheel. You shouldn't have gotten involved. Why not? We're married. That's what spouses do. They have each other's backs. This isn't a real marriage, Arya. The words hit like a slap. Right, she said quietly. Of course. How could I forget? Roman started the engine. His jaw was tight. Victor is dangerous. You don't understand what you just did. I made him back down. You made him angry. There's a difference. He pulled out of the parking lot too fast. He'll retaliate. Target you to get to me. Then you'll handle it. That's what you do, right? Handle things? Not when it comes to you. He said it so quietly she almost missed it. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're a complication I didn't plan for. He took a corner hard. You were supposed to smile and look pretty and stay out of my business. Not insert yourself into conflicts you don't understand. Your business is my business now. That's how this works. No, that's how real marriages work. This isn't real. Then why are you so angry? Because you could have gotten hurt. The words exploded out of him. Because Victor doesn't play by rules. Because if he decides you're a threat, he'll come after you. And I can't. He cut himself off, pulled over abruptly. They sat on the side of the road, engine idling, both breathing hard. You can't what? Arya asked. I can't lose you. He said it like a confession, like something ripped out of him against his will. Not like this. Not because you were trying to protect me. Why do you care? I don't know. His hands were still gripping the steering wheel. But I do, and that's a problem. Arya's heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. Roman, don't. He put the car back in drive. We're going home, and then we're going to pretend this conversation never happened. They drove the rest of the way in silence. But something had shifted, something fundamental, and they both knew it. The next morning, Arya woke to find a box outside her door. Inside was a new phone and a note in Roman's handwriting. This phone has a direct line to my security team. If anything feels wrong, anything, you call them immediately. Don't argue. Just do it. R. She stared at the phone for a long time before tucking it into her bag. That afternoon, she visited her mother. Diana was sitting up, doing a crossword puzzle, looking stronger than she had in months. You look happy, Diana said when Arya walked in. I'm not unhappy. That's not the same thing. Diana set the puzzle aside. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Arya Elizabeth Bennett, she caught herself. Volkov. I keep forgetting. You can't lie to me. I'm your mother. What's going on? Arya sat on the edge of the bed, considered lying, decided she was too tired. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, she admitted. This whole thing is supposed to be simple, straightforward, but it's not. It's messy and complicated, and I can't figure out where the performance ends and reality begins. Are you talking about your marriage? I'm talking about everything. Diana was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out, took Arya's hand. You love him, she said softly. No, I don't. I can't. Why not? Because it wasn't supposed to happen. Because this isn't... Arya stopped, realized what she'd almost said. Diana's eyes were too knowing. Isn't what, sweetheart? Isn't simple, Arya finished weakly. Love never is. Diana squeezed her hand. But that doesn't make it wrong. What if he doesn't feel the same way? Have you asked him? Of course not. Why not? Because Arya struggled for words. Because what if he says no? What if this is all just an act for him and I'm the idiot who caught feelings? Then at least you'll know. And you can decide what to do with that information. Diana's expression softened. But Arya, honey, I've seen the way he looks at you. That's not acting. You barely know him. I know people, and Roman Volkov is a man in love, whether he knows it yet or not. Arya wanted to believe her, wanted to think that the moments of softness, the unexpected kindness, the flashes of something real in Roman's eyes meant what she hoped they meant. But wanting something didn't make it true. She stayed with her mother for another hour, then headed home. Home. When had she started thinking of the penthouse as home? Roman was in the kitchen when she arrived, cooking something that smelled incredible. He'd changed out of his usual suits into jeans and a black Henley, and the casual domesticity of it made Arya's chest ache. You cook? She said. He glanced up. Sometimes, when I need to think. What are you thinking about? Victor, the deal he's pushing, what he might do next. He went back to chopping vegetables with practiced precision. Also whether you prefer your pasta al dente or softer. Al dente. Good, that's the correct answer. He added the vegetables to a pan. They sizzled. There's wine in the fridge if you want some. Arya poured herself a glass, watched Roman work. He moved through the kitchen with the same controlled efficiency he brought to everything else. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Can I help? She asked. You cook? I can follow instructions. He nodded toward a cutting board. Garlic, minced. Don't cut yourself. They worked in companionable silence. Arya minced garlic while Roman handled the pasta and sauce. It felt normal, easy, like something a real couple might do on a quiet evening. I talked to my security team, Roman said after a while. Added protocols. If Victor makes a move against you, they'll know. You're really worried about this. I'm realistic about this. Victor doesn't forgive easily. And you embarrassed him in front of people who matter. He tasted the sauce, added more salt. He'll want payback. So what do? We stay alert. We don't give him opportunities. Roman turned off the burner. And you stop throwing yourself into dangerous situations to defend me. I know what you were doing. His eyes met hers. And I appreciate it. But I need you to understand something. The people in my world, they don't play fair. They go after weaknesses. And you... He trailed off. I'm a weakness. You're someone I can't afford to lose. He said it matter-of-factly, like he was discussing the weather. So please, be careful. He plated the pasta. They ate at the kitchen island, not the formal dining room. Talked about small things. Arya's mother's progress, a documentary Roman had watched, the upcoming benefit gala they were expected to attend. Normal conversation. The kind married couples probably had all the time. Except they weren't a normal married couple. I need to tell you something, Arya said when the dishes were cleared. Roman leaned against the counter, waiting. My mother thinks I love you. Something flickered across his face. What did you tell her? Nothing. I changed the subject. Arya set her wine glass down. But she's not wrong. I mean, she is wrong, but also... Arya, I'm breaking the rules. She said it quickly, before she could lose her nerve. I'm catching feelings, real ones, and I know that's not part of the deal. I know it violates the contract, but I thought you should know. Silence. Roman stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. You're what? He said finally. Falling for you, I think. Maybe. I don't know. It's confusing. She was talking too fast now, words tumbling out. And I know this means the contract ends and I lose the money and I'm sorry. I really tried not to, But you keep doing things that make it impossible, and I just stop. He crossed to her in 2 strides, grabbed her shoulders. Stop talking. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. His grip tightened. Don't ever apologize for feeling something real. But the contract, fuck the contract. The words came out harsh, raw. I wrote those rules to protect myself, to maintain control. But you walked into my life and broke every single one of them without even trying. Arya's breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm falling too. His forehead dropped to hers. I'm saying this is terrifying and complicated and everything I swore I'd never let happen, but it's happening anyway. Roman, I don't know how to do this, he said quietly. I don't know how to be the person you deserve, but I want to try. If you'll let me. The contract says if we fall in love, it ends. Then we end it. He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. We tear up the papers, start over, do this for real. What about my mother's treatment? Already paid for. In full. Whatever happens between us, that doesn't change. His thumb brushed her cheek. I won't use your mother's health as leverage. I'm not that much of a bastard. You're not a bastard at all. I am. But maybe I can be less of one with you. Arya laughed. It came out watery. That's the worst romantic declaration I've ever heard. Give me time. I'll get better at this. His hands framed her face. Can I kiss you? A real one. Not for cameras. Not for show. Just because I want to. Instead of answering, Arya closed the distance between them. The kiss was nothing like the careful, controlled ones they'd shared in public. This was desperate, hungry, real. Roman's hands tangled in her hair, and Arya's fisted in his shirt, and they kissed like they were drowning, and this was air. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Roman pressed his forehead to hers again. Stay tonight, he whispered. Not in your room, mine. Just asleep. I just want... Yes. They ended up in Roman's bedroom, which Arya had never seen. It was simpler than she expected. Minimal furniture, dark colors, a massive bed that they both climbed into, still fully clothed. Roman pulled her against his chest. Arya's head found the space between his shoulder and neck, like it was made for her. We're doing this wrong, she murmured. Doing what wrong? All of it. We got married first, then fell in love. That's backwards. I've never done anything the normal way. Why start now? She smiled against his skin. What happens tomorrow? Tomorrow, we figure it out. Together. His arms tightened around her. But tonight, just this. Is that okay? Yeah, Arya whispered. That's okay. She fell asleep listening to Roman's heartbeat. Steady, strong, real. For the first time since this whole thing started, she let herself believe in it. And somewhere in the city, Victor Constantine made a phone call that would change everything. Arya woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the warmth of Roman's arm draped across her waist. For a moment, she just lay there, breathing in the scent of him, something clean and expensive and entirely masculine, and tried to remember the last time she'd felt this safe. Never. The answer was never. Roman's breathing changed. He was awake. Morning, he murmured against her hair. Hi. Neither of them moved. Like moving would break whatever fragile thing had formed between them in the dark. I should probably get up, Arya said. Check on my mom, maybe shower, pretend I have my life together. Or you could stay here. His arm tightened. We could order breakfast, ignore the world for a few more hours. That sounds incredible and also completely irresponsible. I'm very good at irresponsible when I want to be. He pressed a kiss to her shoulder. Stay. So she did. They ordered food that arrived on actual china, ate in bed while Roman scrolled through his phone, frowning at emails that probably contained words like shipping manifests and wire transfer. Arya watched him, memorizing the small details, the way his hair fell across his forehead when he wasn't wearing product, the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the unconscious way he reached for her hand while reading. What? He said without looking up. Nothing. Just looking. At what? You, being normal. It's weird. That made him smile. I'm never normal. You are right now, eating pancakes in bed, checking emails, very domestic. Don't get used to it. But he set the phone down. turned to face her fully. We need to talk about what happens next. Do we have to? Can't we just exist in this bubble for a while longer? The bubble bursts the second we walk out that door. His expression grew serious. Victor's not going to let what you did slide. Neither are the people who saw it. You challenged him publicly. That has consequences. What kind of consequences? The kind where he digs into your background, looks for ammunition, tries to discredit you or hurt you to get to me. Roman's jaw tightened. I need you to be prepared for that. There's nothing to find. I'm boring. I worked at a diner and took care of my mom. That's it. Everyone has something, Arya. Some secret they don't want exposed. Some vulnerability that can be exploited. He caught her hand. If there's anything you haven't told me, now's the time. She thought about it, really thought. There's nothing. I promise. Okay, but he didn't look convinced. Just stay close to me at public events. Don't go anywhere alone. And if Victor approaches you again, I'll call security. I know. She squeezed his hand. I'm not trying to be reckless. I just couldn't stand there and let him tear you down. Most people would have. I'm not most people. No. His thumb traced her knuckles. You're really not. They spent the rest of the morning in comfortable silence. Roman worked on his laptop while Arya read a book she'd been meaning to finish for months. It felt normal, peaceful, like something that could last. Then Roman's phone rang. He glanced at the screen. His whole demeanor changed. I have to take this. He stepped into the hallway. Arya tried not to eavesdrop, but the walls were thin enough that she caught fragments. When did this happen? No, don't engage. Not yet. I said I'd handle it. Just give me time. When he came back, his face was carefully blank. What's wrong? Arya asked. Nothing you need to worry about. Roman, business. That's all. He grabbed his phone, started pulling up contacts. I need to go into the office for a few hours. Will you be okay here? Of course, but I'll have Margaret stay with you, just in case. He was already moving, grabbing clothes from the closet. Don't leave the building without security. Promise me. You're scaring me. He stopped, crossed back to her, kissed her forehead. I'm being cautious. There's a difference. I'll be back by dinner. Then he was gone, and Arya sat alone in his bedroom, trying to convince herself that everything was fine. It wasn't fine. She knew it the moment she turned on the news 3 hours later and saw Roman's face plastered across every channel. Breaking news in the Volkov scandal, the anchor said. Documents leaked this morning suggest that Roman Volkov, prominent businessman and real estate developer, may have ties to organized crime. The documents detail alleged money laundering operations, illegal shipping routes, and connections to known criminal organizations throughout Eastern Europe. Arya's stomach dropped. Mr. Volkov's recent marriage to Arya Bennett has raised additional questions. Sources close to the investigation suggest the marriage may be part of a larger scheme to... She turned it off, grabbed her phone, called Roman. It went straight to voicemail. She tried again. Same result. Margaret appeared in the doorway, her expression grave. Miss Arya, you should come with me. What's happening? There are reporters outside the building. A lot of them. Mr. Volkov's lawyer is on his way, but in the meantime, we need to keep you away from the windows. This is about Victor, isn't it? The leaked documents. He did this. Margaret's silence was answer enough. Arya spent the next 4 hours in a guest room on the interior of the penthouse, away from windows and cameras. She tried Roman's phone every 15 minutes, watched the news coverage spiral into increasingly wild speculation, saw her own face appear on screen, photos from the gala, from the charity auction, from the wedding she'd thought was private. Question remains whether Mrs. Volkov was aware of her husband's alleged criminal activities or if she's another victim in... Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, then thought maybe it was Roman calling from a different phone. Hello? Mrs. Volkov. Victor's voice, smooth, pleased. How are you enjoying your 15 minutes of fame? Arya's blood went cold. How did you get this number? I have access to many things, including some very interesting information about your husband's business dealings. He paused. Of course, most of it is fabricated. Creative accounting, photoshopped documents, the kind of thing that falls apart under real scrutiny. Then why leak it? Because by the time anyone proves it's fake, the damage will be done. Roman's reputation will be destroyed. His business partners will distance themselves. His enemies will close in. Victor's voice turned sharp. And it's all because of you, dear girl. Me? You humiliated me. You made me look weak in front of people who respect only strength, so I'm returning the favor. He let that sink in. Roman Volkov was untouchable before you came along. Now, he has a weakness, a pretty little wife he actually cares about. That makes him vulnerable. You're doing this to hurt him through me. I'm doing this because you both needed to learn a lesson about respect. He sounded almost cheerful. Don't worry, the documents will be proven false eventually, but the whispers will remain, the doubt, the questions. Roman will spend years rebuilding what he lost in a single morning. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand what you cost him. I want you to live with that knowledge. Victor paused. Goodbye, Mrs. Volkov. Enjoy your marriage. What's left of it? He hung up. Arya sat frozen, phone still pressed to her ear, Victor's words echoing in her mind. This was her fault, her confrontation, her need to defend Roman. She'd painted a target on his back and handed Victor the ammunition to destroy him. The door opened. Roman walked in, and he looked like he'd aged 10 years in the last few hours. Tie loosened, jacket gone, exhaustion carved into every line of his face. You're okay, he said. Like that was all that mattered. Am I? Because it looks like I just destroyed your life. You didn't do anything. He crossed to her, pulled her into his arms. Victor did this, not you. Because of me. Because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. She pushed against his chest, but he didn't let go. He called me, told me everything. The fake documents, the plan. It's all retaliation for what I said to him. Roman went still. He called you? 10 minutes ago. This number. She held up her phone. Roman grabbed it, dialed a number from memory. I need a trace on this number. Now. He rattled off Victor's number. And get me everything you have on Victor Constantine's movements in the last 24 hours. He hung up, looked at Arya. What did he say to you? Exactly. That I made him look weak. That you were untouchable before me. That I'm your weakness now. The words tasted like ash. He's right, isn't he? You would have handled him differently if I wasn't in the picture. You wouldn't have had to worry about... Stop. Roman's hands framed her face. Listen to me very carefully. Victor didn't do this because you embarrassed him. He did it because I've been blocking his expansion on into the shipping sector for 3 years. Because I refused to launder money for his operation. Because I'm one of the few people in this city with enough power to actually threaten him. But he said what he wanted you to believe. That's what he does. He manipulates, finds your weakness, and exploits it. Roman's thumbs brushed her cheekbones. You are not my weakness, Arya. You're the first real thing I've had in my life in years. Don't let him twist that into something ugly. But the news, your reputation, your business will survive. I have lawyers who will tear those documents apart by tomorrow. Accountants who will prove they're fabricated. This is a temporary problem. It doesn't feel temporary. I know. He pulled her close again. But you're safe. That's what matters. Victor wanted to scare you, drive you away from me. Don't give him that satisfaction. Arya buried her face in his chest. I'm so sorry. Don't be. You defended me. That took courage. His hand stroked her hair. Most people in my life would have thrown me to the wolves to save themselves. You stepped in front of them instead. That's not courage. That's stupidity. It's loyalty. I'm not used to that. They stood like that for a long time. Long enough for Arya's heartbeat to slow, for the panic to recede into something manageable. What happens now? She asked finally. Now, I fight back. Roman's voice went hard. Victor wanted a war. He's about to get one. Over the next 3 days, Arya watched Roman dismantle Victor's attack with surgical precision. Teams of lawyers filed defamation suits. Forensic accountants proved the documents were fabricated. Journalists who'd run the story issued retractions. Business partners who'd wavered came back, apologizing. But the damage was done in other ways, smaller, more personal. Arya couldn't leave the penthouse without being swarmed by reporters. Her mother's hospital room had to be moved to a secure floor after photographers tried to sneak in. Old acquaintances from the diner started selling stories to tabloids, most of them made up, all of them designed to paint her as a gold digger who'd trapped Roman into marriage. Former coworker says Aria Bennett was always obsessed with rich men, one headline screamed. Friend reveals, she planned this from the beginning, said another. Melissa called, furious. I didn't say any of that. They're making shit up. I know, Aria said. It's fine. It's not fine. They're destroying you. They're trying to. There's a difference. But it hurt. Every headline, every lie, every photo of her looking scared or angry or exhausted, the world was writing a story about her that had nothing to do with the truth, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. Roman found her crying in the bathroom on the 4th day. Hey! He knelt beside the tub where she sat, fully clothed, makeup running. Talk to me. They're saying I trapped you, that I saw you at that wedding and planned the whole thing, that I'm using my mother's illness to manipulate you into staying. She wiped at her face. And the worst part is, some of it sounds true. I did need money. I was desperate. What if... Stop! He climbed into the tub with her, suit and all, pulled her against him. What we have is real. You know that. Do I? We started with a lie, Roman, a contract. How do we know what's real and what's just us playing parts so long we forgot we were acting? Because I've never felt like this before. His voice was rough, raw. Because when I thought Victor might come after you, I lost my mind. Because waking up next to you is the best part of my day, and that scares the hell out of me. You're scared? Terrified. He tipped her chin up. I've built my entire life on control, on keeping people at a distance, and then you walked in and destroyed all of that without even trying. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for making me feel something. He kissed her forehead. The world can say whatever it wants. I know the truth. You know the truth. That's all that matters. What if it's not enough? Then we make it enough. A knock on the bathroom door, Margaret's voice. Mr. Volkov, your lawyer is here. He says it's urgent. Roman sighed, climbed out of the tub, extended a hand to Aria. Come on, let's go deal with whatever fresh hell this is. The lawyer was in the living room looking grim. We have a problem. Of course we do, Roman muttered. What now? Victor's filing a lawsuit. Defamation. He's claiming your wife's statements at the gala damaged his reputation and cost him business opportunities. The lawyer set down a thick folder. He's asking for $50 million in damages. Aria's legs went weak. $50 million? It's a nuisance suit, Roman said immediately. Designed to drain resources and make us look bad. We'll fight it. There's more. The lawyer opened the folder. He's also filed a motion to have your marriage investigated. Claims it's fraudulent, that you married to avoid certain legal complications related to your business. The room spun. That's insane, Roman said. On what grounds? He has a witness, someone claiming you paid Aria to marry you, that the whole thing was a business transaction. The lawyer looked at Aria. Is there any truth to that? Aria opened her mouth, closed it. The contract, the original agreement, the payments for her mother's treatment in exchange for playing his wife. It had been a business transaction, before it became real. No, Roman said firmly before Aria could speak. Our marriage is completely legitimate. Victor's making things up, same as he did with the leaked documents. Then we'll need Mrs. Volkov to testify to that effect, under oath. The lawyer pulled out more papers. I'll need detailed statements about how you met, how the relationship developed, everything. Fine, Roman said. We'll give you whatever you need. The lawyer left. Roman paced the room like a caged animal. We need to tell the truth, Aria said quietly. Absolutely not. Roman, if this goes to court... It won't. Victor's bluffing, trying to force a settlement. He stopped pacing. We stick to the story. We fell in love, got married. End of story. But the contract is destroyed, shredded, gone. There's no proof it ever existed. His eyes locked on hers. Unless you kept a copy? No, of course not. Then there's nothing to worry about. Except my conscience. Aria stood. I'm not going to lie under oath. I won't commit perjury because Victor Constantine is a vindictive asshole. You think telling the truth will be better? They'll crucify you. Crucify us both. Roman crossed to her. The truth right now is that I love you. That this marriage is real. That started as a contract doesn't change what it became. Doesn't it? No. He grabbed her hands. Listen to me. We can survive Victor's lies. We can't survive you destroying yourself with honesty that serves no purpose except to make you feel better. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair, but it's the reality. His grip tightened. Please, Arya, trust me. Let me handle this. She wanted to. Wanted to let Roman make this problem disappear the way he made everything else disappear, but something in her rebelled against the idea of building their future on more lies. I need to think, she said. Don't think too long. The deposition is scheduled for Monday. That gave her 4 days. She spent them visiting her mother, who was improving daily. The treatment was working. Color had returned to her cheeks, energy to her movements. She looked more alive than she had in a year. You look terrible, Diana said when Arya walked in on Saturday. Thanks, Mom. Really feeling the love. I'm serious. What's wrong? Diana gestured to the chair. Sit. Talk. Arya sat. And before she could stop herself, everything poured out. The contract, the original deal, the way it had shifted into something real. Victor's revenge, the lawsuit, the impossible choice between truth and survival. Diana listened without interrupting. When Arya finally ran out of words, her mother was quiet for a long time. You love him, Diana said finally. That's not the point. It's the only point. Diana reached for her hand. Arya, I'm dying. We both know it. This treatment is buying me time, but it's not a cure. Eventually the cancer will win. Mom, let me finish. Diana squeezed her hand. When I'm gone, you'll be alone. And I need to know you have someone. Not someone you settled for. Not someone you're with out of obligation. But someone you actually love. Even if our relationship started as a lie, every relationship starts with some kind of lie. We lie about our flaws, our fears, our past mistakes. We show people the best versions of ourselves and hope they stick around when the truth comes out. Diana smiled. The question isn't how it started, it's whether what you have now is worth fighting for. I don't know how to fight this. Victor has unlimited resources, unlimited patience. He'll keep coming until he destroys us. Then you destroy him first. Arya blinked. What? You think Roman built his empire by playing nice? By following rules? Diana's eyes were sharp. He got where he is by being smarter and more ruthless than his enemies. Trust him to handle Victor, and you focus on being the kind of woman who stands beside him, not behind him. You're telling me to lie in court. I'm telling you to protect what matters. Roman matters. Your marriage matters. Some prosecutor asking questions about how you met? That doesn't matter. Diana leaned back against her pillows. The truth is, you love him. He loves you. Everything else is just noise. Arya left the hospital with her mother's words ringing in her ears. She found Roman in his office, surrounded by papers and looking like he hadn't slept in days. I'll do it, she said from the doorway. He looked up. Do what? The deposition, the testimony, whatever you need. She crossed to his desk. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. After this is over, no more lies. About anything. I don't care how ugly the truth is. We're honest with each other. Always. Deal. He stood, pulled her close. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I'm a terrible liar. You're better than you think. He kissed her temple. We'll prep you. You'll be fine. Monday came too fast. The deposition was held in a conference room that smelled like expensive wood and desperation. Victor's lawyers were sharks in suits, asking questions designed to trap and confuse. Mrs. Volkov, when exactly did you first meet your husband? At a wedding, about 3 months ago. And it was love at first sight? No, it was complicated at first sight. One of the lawyers smiled. Complicated how? I knocked over a waiter, made a scene. He helped me. We talked. Arya kept her voice steady. It wasn't romantic, not then. But you married him less than 3 months later. That's quite fast. When you know, you know. How convenient. The lawyer leaned forward. Mrs. Volkov, did your husband offer you money in exchange for marrying him? The room went silent. Roman's hand found hers under the table. Squeezed. Arya looked the lawyer directly in the eye. My husband offered me a future. That's what people do when they fall in love. They offer each other futures. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting. She leaned forward. You can ask the same question 50 different ways. My answer won't change. I married Roman because I love him. Because he loves me. Because we chose each other. If that doesn't fit your narrative, that's your problem, not mine. The lawyer tried several more angles. Arya deflected them all. By the time it was over, she was exhausted but intact. In the car afterward, Roman pulled her into his arms. You were incredible, he said. I felt like I was going to throw up the entire time. You didn't show it. He kissed her, deep and thorough. I love you. Have I mentioned that today? Not since breakfast. I love you. Another kiss. There. Now you've heard it twice. Show off. But she was smiling when she said it. The lawsuit dragged on for weeks. Victor kept filing motions. Roman's lawyers kept getting them dismissed. It was exhausting and expensive and seemed designed purely to make their lives miserable. Then, 6 weeks after it started, Victor dropped the suit. No explanation, no settlement. Just a terse filing that made it all go away. Why? Arya asked when Roman told her. Because I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Roman's smile was sharp, dangerous. I bought out his biggest competitor, merged them with my shipping division. Now I control 70% of the shipping routes in and out of the city. You bankrupted him. I eliminated his leverage. There's a difference. Roman pulled her onto his lap. Victor operates through intimidation and manipulation. The second you take those tools away, he has nothing. He knows that now. So it's over? For now. He'll lick his wounds, rebuild, come at me again eventually. Roman's arms tightened around her. But he knows you're off limits. That touching you means war. And he's not ready for that fight. You did all this to protect me. I did it to protect us. He kissed her neck. Big difference. That night, they had the penthouse to themselves. Margaret had the evening off. The security team was stationed outside. They were alone. They made dinner together. Burned the chicken because they got distracted kissing against the counter. Ordered pizza instead and ate it on the floor in front of the massive windows overlooking the city. I like this, Arya said, leaning against Roman's chest. Burnt chicken? This, us, being normal. We're never going to be normal. No, but we can pretend sometimes. She turned in his arms. Thank you for fighting for us. Thank you for being worth fighting for. He stood, pulled her up with him. Come on, I want to show you something. He led her to his office, unlocked a drawer, pulled out a thick envelope. What's this? Arya asked. The contract, original and all copies. He handed it to her. I want you to destroy it. Roman, we don't need it anymore. What we have is real. This, he gestured to the envelope, is just a reminder of how it started, not what it became. Arya opened the envelope, saw the signatures, the clauses, the cold legal language that had once defined their entire relationship. She walked to the fireplace, turned on the gas, threw the contract into the flames. They watched it burn together. No more lies, Roman said as the last page caught fire. No more contracts. Just us. Just us, Arya agreed. He kissed her then, slow and deep and full of promise. And when he lifted her into his arms and carried her to his bedroom, she didn't think about contracts or rules or the ways they'd started. She just thought about the man who'd broken all his own rules to love her, and the life they were building together from the ashes of their lies. The months that followed the burning of the contract felt like learning to breathe underwater. Not easy, not natural, but necessary, and eventually almost beautiful. Arya woke up most mornings tangled in Roman's sheets, his arm heavy across her waist, his breathing steady against her neck. Some days she still had to remind herself this was real, that the man who controlled half the city's commerce was the same man who left her coffee by the bedside and kissed her shoulder before heading to early meetings. You're thinking too loud, Roman mumbled one morning in late September, not even opening his eyes. How do you know I'm thinking? Because you always hold your breath when you overthink. Then you sigh. Then you do it again. He pulled her closer. What is it this time? My mom wants to have dinner with us. Here. She says she's strong enough now. Roman's eyes opened. That's good news. It is. Except she wants to cook. Says she misses being useful. Arya traced patterns on his chest. She can barely stand for more than 20 minutes without getting tired. So we help her. Set up a chair in the kitchen. Make it easy. His hand found hers, stilled the nervous movement. She wants to feel normal, Arya. Let her have that. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just weren't paying attention. She bit his shoulder. He laughed and rolled her beneath him, and they were late to everything that day. Diana came over the following Saturday, looking thinner than Arya liked, but smiling wider than she had in years. Roman had transformed the kitchen, bringing in a high stool with a cushioned back, pre-chopping vegetables, organizing everything within easy reach. You didn't have to do all this, Diana said, but her eyes were bright with gratitude. I didn't. Margaret did. Roman gestured to the housekeeper, who was pretending not to hover. I just wrote the check. Liar, Margaret said cheerfully. He was up at 6 this morning, rearranging everything himself. Diana looked at Roman with something soft in her expression. You take good care of my daughter. I try. He met Arya's eyes across the kitchen. She makes it easy. They made lasagna together, the three of them. Diana directed from her stool, while Arya assembled layers and Roman proved surprisingly competent at following instructions. The kitchen smelled like garlic and tomatoes and something Arya couldn't name, something that felt like family. Your father used to hate cooking, Diana said, watching them work. Said it was too much standing still. He needed to be moving all the time. Arya paused mid-layer. Her mother rarely talked about her father, who died when Arya was 7. Heart attack. Sudden. The kind of loss that carved holes in people and never quite filled back in. You miss him, Roman said quietly. Every day. Diana's smile was sad. But less sharp now. Time does that. Makes the pain softer around the edges. What was he like? Roman asked. And Diana told them. Stories Arya had heard and stories she hadn't. About a man who'd worked construction and came home covered in dust but always stopped to bring Diana flowers from the corner bodega. Who'd taught Arya to ride a bike by running behind her for 3 hours straight until his legs gave out. Who'd made terrible jokes and laughed at all of them himself. He would have liked you, Diana said to Roman as they ate. He respected people who worked hard, who kept their promises. I hope I would have earned that respect. You have mine. That's close enough. Diana reached across the table, squeezed his hand. Thank you for loving my daughter the way you do. Roman's throat worked. She makes it impossible not to. After dinner, Diana fell asleep on the couch, exhausted but happy. Roman carried her to the guest room while Arya cleaned up, and when he came back, he found her crying over the sink. Hey! He turned off the water, pulled her around. What's wrong? She's dying, and there's nothing I can do about it. The words broke. The treatment is buying time, but that's all it's doing, buying time. And I keep pretending like maybe this time will be different, maybe she'll be the miracle case, but she won't. She's gonna die, and I'm gonna lose her, and I don't know how to survive that. Roman held her while she cried. Didn't offer empty platitudes or false hope, just held her and let her break apart against his chest. You'll survive it because you have to, he said finally, because she'd want you to, because grief is just love with nowhere to go, and you'll find places to put it. Where did you hear that? My mother, before she died. His arms tightened. She was right. It doesn't stop hurting, but you learn to carry it differently. They stood there until Arya's tears ran out, until she could breathe again without feeling like her ribs were caving in. I love you, she whispered. I know. He kissed her forehead. I love you too, even when you're a mess, especially when you're a mess. Especially? Because that's when you need me most, and I like being needed by you. 3 weeks later, Roman came home early to find Arya on the balcony, staring at her phone with an expression he couldn't read. What happened? He asked. She looked up. Victor's dead. Roman went very still. What? Heart attack. This morning. His lawyer just sent a formal notice closing all pending litigation. She showed him the email. It's over. Everything. The lawsuits, the threats, all of it. Roman took the phone, read the email twice, then set it down and pulled out his own phone, made 3 calls to people who would know if this was real or another game. It was real. Victor Constantine had died in his sleep. Massive coronary, the kind of death that looked natural and probably was. How do you feel about this? Arya asked. Roman considered the question, considered lying, decided against it. Relieved, he admitted. Victor was a problem that wouldn't go away. This solves it. That's cold. It's honest. He met her eyes. I won't pretend to mourn a man who tried to destroy us, who threatened you, who would have kept coming until one of us broke. Will there be others like him? Probably. This world is full of victors, men who think power means crushing everyone in their path. Roman pulled her close. But I'm good at handling them, and now they know you're not a weakness they can exploit. You're something I'll go to war for. That changes the calculation. I don't want you going to war for me. Too late. Already did. Already won. He kissed her temple. Though I appreciate the sentiment. They stood on the balcony as the sun set, painting the city in shades of orange and gold. Arya leaned against Roman's chest and thought about how strange life was. How you could start in one place and end up somewhere completely different. How the scariest decisions sometimes led to the best outcomes. Do you ever regret it? She asked. The contract. Starting this way. No. No hesitation. Because if I'd tried to do this the normal way, I would have talked myself out of it. Convinced myself I didn't deserve you. That I'd ruin you like I've ruined everything else. His hand found hers, threaded their fingers together. The contract gave me permission to want you, and once I had you, I couldn't let go. You didn't ruin me. Not yet. But he was smiling when he said it. November brought cold rain and news that Diana's latest scans showed the cancer spreading. Slowly, but spreading. 3 to 6 months, Dr. Patel said gently. Possibly longer with continued treatment, but the trajectory is clear. Arya took it badly, locked herself in the bathroom for 2 hours and refused to come out even when Roman promised her everything from ice cream to a puppy. Go away, she called through the door. No. I want to be alone. Too bad. We're married. You don't get to be alone anymore. He slid down to sit with his back against the door. I'm going to sit here until you come out, and I'm going to tell you terrible jokes. And you're going to hate it, but eventually you'll laugh and then you'll open the door. I won't. You will, because you can't resist my charm. You're not charming. Lie. I'm incredibly charming. It's my best quality. He paused. Okay, what do you call a fish wearing a crown? Silence. A kingfish. Get it? Kingfish? He waited. That was terrible, you're right. How about this one? What do you call a bear with no teeth? Roman. A gummy bear. He could hear her trying not to laugh. See? You love it. What do you call a fake noodle? The door opened. Arya stood there, eyes red and puffy, glaring at him. An impasta, she said. You knew that one? Everyone knows that one. It's the worst joke in existence. And yet you're smiling. He stood, pulled her into his arms. See? Charm. She pressed her face into his chest. She's dying. I know. I'm not ready. You'll never be ready. That's not how this works. He stroked her hair. But you'll get through it. We'll get through it. Together. Promise? Promise. They spent the next 3 months making memories. Diana moved into the guest room full-time, too weak for the apartment stairs. Roman hired a full-time nurse, but made sure Diana never felt like a patient in their home. They watched terrible reality TV together, made cookies that no one really wanted to eat, took slow walks through the building's rooftop garden when Diana had the energy. Arya photographed everything. Diana laughing at something stupid Roman said. Diana teaching Margaret her mother's recipe for chicken soup. Diana asleep in the armchair with late afternoon sun painting her face gold. You're trying to hold on to her, Roman observed one evening, finding Arya scrolling through hundreds of photos. Is that wrong? No, it's human. He sat beside her. But don't forget to actually be present too. Cameras are good at capturing moments. Not so good at capturing feelings. So Arya put down the phone, sat with her mother, held her hand during the bad days when the pain was too much, and the medication made Diana confused. Read to her on the better days. Told her stories about stupid things that happened at the grocery store or funny texts from Melissa. I'm proud of you, Diana said one afternoon in early February. She was having a good day, alert and present. You've built a good life. You helped me build it. No? I just gave you tools. You did the building. Diana's fingers were thin and cold in Arya's grip. And you picked the right man. Roman's good for you. He's bossy and controlling and thinks he knows everything. And he loves you more than anything in this world. I see it every time he looks at you. Diana smiled. That's the kind of love worth fighting for, baby. The kind that doesn't quit even when things get hard. I'm going to miss you so much. I know. I'm going to miss you too. Diana's eyes filled with tears. But I'm not afraid anymore. I've seen you happy. I've seen you loved. That's all I needed. Mom, let me finish. Diana squeezed her hand. When I'm gone, I don't want you to fall apart. You're allowed to grieve, but you're not allowed to stop living. Promise me. I can't. Promise me, Arya. I promise, Arya whispered. Diana died 3 weeks later, peacefully, in her sleep, with Arya and Roman both there. The funeral was small. Just the people who mattered. Melissa and her boyfriend, Margaret, and the household staff who'd become family. A few nurses from the hospital. Roman's business associates stayed away, understanding this wasn't about networking or appearances. Roman delivered the eulogy because Arya couldn't. Spoke about a woman he'd only known for months, but who'd treated him like family anyway. Who'd taught him that kindness wasn't weakness, that letting people in wasn't the same as losing control. Diana Bennett was the strongest person I've ever met, he said, looking directly at Arya. She fought for her life with everything she had. But more than that, she fought for her daughter's happiness. Made sure Arya was taken care of. Made sure she wasn't alone. His voice broke slightly. She gave me the greatest gift anyone's ever given me. She trusted me with the person she loved most in the world. I'll spend the rest of my life being worthy of that trust. Arya cried through the entire service. Cried through the burial. Cried through the reception at the penthouse where people told stories about Diana that made everyone laugh through their tears. That night, after everyone left, she stood on the balcony and screamed at the sky until her throat was raw. Roman didn't try to stop her, just stood nearby, waiting. When she finally ran out of voice, he pulled her close. I've got you, he said. I've got you. The grief came in waves after that. Some days Arya could breathe around it. Other days it crushed her completely. Roman learned to read the difference, learned when she needed space and when she needed to be held, learned that sometimes helping meant just sitting in silence while she cried. I don't know how to do this, Arya said one night 2 months after the funeral. Everyone keeps saying it gets easier, but it doesn't. It just gets different. Different is better than worse, Roman offered. Is it? Yeah, because different means you're adapting, moving, not stuck. He pulled her onto his lap. Your mom wouldn't want you stuck. My mom wanted a lot of things. What do you want? The question surprised her. I don't know anymore. Then we figure it out, together. He kissed her forehead. What made you happy before all this? Arya thought about it. Helping people, feeling useful. I liked working at the diner because I was good at it, because I made people's days a little better. So do that. Find a way to help people, make days better. How? I don't know, but you will. He sounded completely certain. 3 weeks later, Arya found herself in Dr. Patel's office asking about patient advocacy programs, about ways to help people navigate the impossible maze of cancer treatment and medical bills and insurance nightmares. We have a volunteer program, Dr. Patel said, but honestly, we need someone to run it, organize it, make it actually function instead of just existing on paper. I could do that. You want to? I think so. Maybe. Yes. Arya sat up straighter. Yes, I want to do that. Dr. Patel smiled. When can you start? Arya threw herself into the work. Spent her days at the hospital, helping families understand treatment options, connecting them with financial resources, just sitting with people who were terrified and alone and needed someone to tell them it would be okay, even when it might not be. Roman supported it completely. Never complained when she came home late, emotionally exhausted, just had dinner waiting and listened when she needed to talk about the hard days. You're good at this, he said one evening, helping people. I learned from the best. Arya smiled sadly. My mom spent her whole life taking care of people. Me, her friends, random neighbors who needed help. It's what she did. Now you're doing it for her. I'm doing it for me, too. It helps. Feeling useful. Like maybe all that pain meant something. It meant everything. Roman pulled her close. Your mom's pain bought you this life. Your pain is helping other people survive theirs. That's not nothing, Arya. That's everything. 6 months after Diana's death, Arya realized she'd gone a whole day without crying, then a whole week, then a month. The grief didn't disappear. It just became part of her landscape, something she carried instead of something that crushed her. I think I'm okay, she told Roman one morning. Yeah? Yeah, I'm sad. I miss her, but I'm also happy with you, with my work, with this life. She rolled over to face him. Is that allowed? To be happy when someone you love is gone? It's not just allowed, it's required. He tucked her hair behind her ear. Your mom didn't fight so hard just so you could spend the rest of your life miserable. She fought so you could have this, happiness, love, a future. We have a future. We do. He kissed her, soft, sweet. What do you want that future to look like? Arya thought about it, really thought. I want to expand the program, help more hospitals, reach more families. She traced his jawline. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want terrible coffee and burnt toast and arguments about whose turn it is to call the plumber. I want all of that too. Even the burnt toast? Especially the burnt toast. He smiled. What else? Maybe a dog? Margaret says the building allows pets. We can get a dog. And eventually, maybe, if we're ready. She hesitated. Kids? Roman went very still. Kids? Not now, but someday. If you want that. Arya searched his face. Do you want that? I never thought I did. He said it slowly, carefully. I never thought I deserved that. A family, the whole picture. And now? Now I think maybe I could deserve it, if you're there to keep me honest. He cupped her face. Yeah, someday. I want that. They got the dog first. A rescue mutt, who was equal parts lab and chaos. Named him Atlas because he thought he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's neurotic, Roman observed, watching the dog pace the apartment. He's anxious. There's a difference. He's definitely your dog. Atlas settled in eventually, stopped pacing, started sleeping in their bed, taking up more space than should be physically possible for his size. Roman pretended to be annoyed, but Arya caught him hand-feeding the dog treats when he thought no one was looking. The program expanded. Arya hired staff, secured funding from Roman's business contacts who couldn't say no when he asked. Within a year, they were operating in 12 hospitals across the state. You built something incredible, Roman said, looking at the latest impact report. We built something incredible, Arya corrected. I couldn't have done this without your connections, your funding, your support. You could have done it without all that, just would have taken longer. He set down the report. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us. Yeah, he pulled her close. Me too. 2 years after Diana's death, Arya stood in front of her mother's grave with news. I'm pregnant, she said to the headstone. 3 months. We waited to tell anyone until we were sure. She touched her still flat stomach. Roman's terrified, trying to hide it, but I can tell. He thinks he's going to mess everything up. The wind rustled through the trees overhead. I told him you thought he was good for me, that you trusted him. He cried when I said that, actually cried. Arya smiled. I wish you were here to meet them, to tell me I'm doing this right, to hold my hand when I'm scared. She stood there for a long time, talking to her mother like Diana could hear. Maybe she could. Maybe that's what faith was, believing the people we loved never really left us. Roman found her there an hour later. Thought I'd find you here, he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. I was telling her about the baby. What did she say? That I'm going to be a great mom, that we're going to figure this out, that she's proud of us. Arya leaned back against him. The usual maternal encouragement. All true. He pressed a kiss to her neck. We're going to be terrible at this at first. Probably. The baby's going to cry, and we won't know why, and we'll panic and call Dr. Patel at 3 a.m. Definitely. But we'll figure it out. Together. Together, Arya agreed. They stood there as the sun set, talking to a woman who couldn't answer, but whose presence they both still felt, whose love had brought them together in the first place, whose death had taught them what mattered most. The baby came in March. A girl. 7 pounds, 6 ounces, with Roman's gray eyes and Arya's stubborn chin. They named her Diana. Roman held her for the first time with shaking hands, looking terrified and awed and completely in love. "She's so small," he whispered. "She's perfect," Arya said. "What if I drop her?" "You won't drop her." "What if I mess her up? What if she grows up and hates me? Then we'll deal with it, together." Arya touched his arm. "You're going to be a great father, Roman." "How do you know?" "Because you were terrified of loving me too, and you're really good at that now." He looked at her, at their daughter, at the life they'd built from lies and contracts and impossible choices. "I love you," he said. "I know." "No, I mean," he struggled for words. "I love you in a way I didn't know I could love anyone. You changed everything, made me want things I thought were impossible, made me believe I deserved them." "You do deserve them. We both do." Arya leaned against him carefully, mindful of the baby between them. "We earned this. The hard way. But we earned it." They brought Diana home to a penthouse that had transformed from a showpiece into a home. Baby equipment everywhere. Atlas investigating the newcomer with confused interest. Margaret crying happy tears and immediately taking over with the kind of competence that only came from raising 3 kids of her own. The first weeks were hard, sleepless, overwhelming. Roman walked the floors at 3 a.m. with a screaming baby who wouldn't settle, looking like he'd aged 10 years. Arya cried from exhaustion and hormones and the sheer terror of being responsible for another human life. But they figured it out, fed her, changed her, learned her different cries and what they meant, took turns on the hard nights, celebrated the small victories when Diana slept for more than 2 hours straight. "We're doing okay, right?" Arya asked one morning, watching Roman give Diana a bottle while making faces that made the baby's eyes track his movements. "I think so. She's alive. Fed. Relatively clean." He glanced up. "Though I'm pretty sure she just peed on me." "She definitely did. I can see the wet spot spreading." "Why didn't you warn me?" "Because watching you learn is more fun." Roman made an undignified noise but didn't move, just kept feeding their daughter while his shirt slowly became soaked. That's when Arya knew, really knew. They were going to be fine. Not perfect, never perfect, but fine. Good. Happy. The kind of happy you had to fight for. The kind that came from choosing each other every single day, even when things were hard. Especially when things were hard. 6 months after Diana was born, Arya expanded the advocacy program into 15 more hospitals. Roman brokered a deal that eliminated Victor's remaining business interests and consolidated his own empire into something more legitimate, more sustainable. They bought a house outside the city with a yard for Atlas and eventually Diana. Kept the penthouse for when Roman needed to be downtown. "We're domesticating you," Arya teased, watching him assemble a crib for the new nursery. "I'm allowing myself to be domesticated. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes. I maintain the illusion of control." He tightened a bolt. "It's important for my ego." "Your ego is fine." "My ego is fragile and you know it." But he was smiling. They settled into a rhythm. Work, family. The occasional gala when Roman needed to maintain appearances. But mostly, they stayed home. Built a life that was quiet and ordinary in theirs. 1 year became 2. 2 became 5. Diana grew from a baby into a toddler with her father's stubbornness and her mother's empathy. They added a second dog. A cat who tolerated everyone with regal disdain. A goldfish that died within a week and prompted Diana's first experience with grief and mortality. "Everything dies," she said seriously at age 4, standing over the toilet while they prepared to flush the goldfish. "Like Grandma Diana." Arya's chest tightened. "Yes, baby, like Grandma Diana." "But we remember them, right? That's what you said." "That's right. We remember them." "So Sparkles," Diana pointed at the goldfish, "will live in my memory forever." "Sparkles will definitely live in your memory forever," Roman agreed, trying not to smile. They flushed the fish, held a brief memorial service in the bathroom. Diana drew a picture of Sparkles to hang on her wall. She's handling death better than I did, Arya said that night. She learned from you. You showed her it's okay to grieve, to remember, to keep living anyway. Roman pulled her close. You're a good mom. We're good parents. Yeah, we really are. On their 7th anniversary, Roman took Arya back to the ballroom where they'd first met. He'd rented the entire space, recreated the wedding down to the ice sculptures and champagne fountains. This is insane, Arya said, staring at the familiar space transformed into something romantic instead of ostentatious. This is romantic. There's a difference. He led her onto the dance floor. I wanted to give you the wedding we should have had if we'd done this right the first time. We did do it right. We did it our way. Our way involved a courthouse and a judge who looked bored out of his mind. And I wouldn't change any of it. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Except maybe the part where we both thought this was temporary. That was the stupidest rule I've ever made. You've made a lot of stupid rules. Name one other stupid rule. No feelings, no falling in love, no real intimacy. She smiled. Should I keep going? Point made. He spun her gently. Good thing we're both terrible at following rules. The best thing. They danced for hours. Just the two of them in a ballroom built for hundreds. No cameras, no performance. Just two people who'd found each other in the worst possible way and made it work anyway. I have something for you, Roman said as the night wound down. He led her to a table where a single envelope waited. What is this? Open it. Inside was a legal document. Arya skimmed it, not understanding at first. Then the words clicked into place. You're creating a foundation? In my mother's name? In both your names. The Bennett Volkov Foundation for Cancer Patient Advocacy. Roman watched her face. I've been working on it for 6 months, full funding, permanent staff, enough to help thousands of families every year. Roman, your mom gave me everything when she trusted me with you. This is me saying thank you, paying it forward, making sure her legacy means something. Arya couldn't speak, could barely breathe. She just threw her arms around him and held on tight while tears ruined her makeup and probably his tuxedo. Thank you, she whispered finally. Thank you for teaching me what love actually looks like. He pulled back enough to see her face. I spent my whole life thinking love was weakness, that caring about people gave them power over you. You proved me wrong. Love isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing we do. Yeah, it is. He wiped her tears with his thumbs. And I choose it every day. With you, for you, because of you. I love you. I know. He smiled. I love you too. Even when you're crying all over my very expensive suit. It's your fault for making me cry. Fair point. They went home to relieve the babysitter, found Diana asleep in her bed, surrounded by stuffed animals and books. Roman tucked the blanket around her while Arya watched from the doorway. We made that, she said softly. We made her. This life. Everything. We did. Roman joined her, wrapped his arm around her waist. From a lie in a ballroom to this, not bad. Not bad at all. They stood there watching their daughter sleep, and Arya thought about how far they'd come. From a desperate bargain to something real. From strangers playing parts to partners who knew each other's worst parts and loved them anyway. Life wasn't perfect. Roman still worked too much. Arya still worried too much. They fought about stupid things like whose turn it was to take out the trash and whether Atlas was allowed on the furniture. Diana had meltdowns in grocery stores. The foundation hit obstacles. Money got tight sometimes, but they had each other. And that turned out to be enough. More than enough. Everything. Years later, when Diana was grown and making her own choices, she'd ask about how her parents met. Arya would tell her about a wedding where everything went wrong and somehow went right, about a contract that became a commitment, about choosing love even when it was terrifying. So you married Dad for money? Diana would ask, scandalized and fascinated. I married your father because I needed help, and he offered it, Arya would correct. I fell in love with him because he turned out to be worth loving, and I stayed because he chose me back every single day. That's the most unromantic romantic story I've ever heard. Most good things are. Life's messy, Diana. Love's messy. We don't get fairy tales. We get choices. And your father and I chose each other every day, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. Roman, listening from the doorway, would smile. Because Arya was right. They didn't get the fairy tale. They got something better. They got real. And in the end, standing in the penthouse that had gone from a prison to a home, surrounded by the family they'd built from nothing but hope and stubbornness and love, Roman Volkov learned the truth his mother had tried to teach him years ago. Control was an illusion. Power was temporary. Money couldn't buy happiness. But love? Messy, complicated, terrifying love. That was the only thing worth having. The only thing that lasted. The only thing that could change a man who thought he was unchangeable. Arya had walked into his life at her lowest moment and somehow lifted him up instead. Had taken his worst offer and transformed it into the best decision he'd ever made. She'd proven that weakness and strength weren't opposites. That vulnerability was courage. That letting someone in wasn't losing control. It was finding something worth controlling himself for. "What are you thinking about?" Arya asked, finding him on the balcony years later when Diana was at college and the house was too quiet. "You, us, how none of this was supposed to happen." "Regrets?" "Not even one." He pulled her close. "You're the best mistake I ever made." "I'm not a mistake. You're right. You're the best decision I ever made." "Better?" "Better." She leaned against him, watching the city lights. "We did good, didn't we?" "We did great." And they had. Two broken people who'd found each other in a ballroom full of lies and built something true. Something lasting. Something that proved love wasn't about perfection or control or following rules. Love was about showing up. Every day, even when it was hard, even when it hurt, even when it would be easier to walk away. Love was about choosing each other. Again and again and again. Until choosing became as natural as breathing. That was the lesson. The one Diana Bennett taught her daughter without meaning to. The one Arya learned in the hardest way possible. The one Roman finally understood after a lifetime of running from it. Love doesn't make you weak. Fear of love does. And courage isn't the absence of fear. It's loving anyway, choosing anyway, staying anyway. In the end, that's all any of us can do. Choose love, choose each other, choose to believe that messy and imperfect and real is better than pristine and controlled and empty. Roman and Arya chose that every day for the rest of their lives, and it made all the difference.